citizens in Kitsap County, Scott Hendon and Kim Gerlach. So they are opposed to a bond measure that is up in the North Kitsap School District that would help, with some funding for school construction and all this stuff. They're opposed to it. So like good citizens, they were putting up signs saying, no on the bond, no on the bond. And then they started noticing that their signs were going missing. So they did what I would like to say any citizen would do, but no, they did something that probably no other citizen would do. And they tag teamed a stakeout. And Scott actually went out at one of the areas where their signs were out, and he put up game cameras. And I'll tell you guys, this video is hilarious. So the video clearly shows what looks to be a blonde woman. Nicole, do you have the video? Looks to be a blonde woman, all parked out, go up, yank these signs out of the ground, stomping on them to try to break them, and then hucking the wood from the sign. And this is like early in the morning. So anyway, the kind of interesting aspect of this story, which we'll get to because we're going to talk to Scott and Kim coming up in a second, is who that blonde woman is, allegedly. There is a pretty convincing preponderance of evidence to suggest that it is the superintendent of the North Kitsap School District. Her name is Lauren Evans. Now, police, the sheriff's office has already said that is their suspect. That based on the preponderance of evidence which Scott and Kim gathered as part of their stakeout, the key suspect in the theft of these no on the school bond yard signs is none other than the North Kitsap School District Superintendent, Lauren Evans. So obviously innocent until proven guilty. She said that she didn't do this, so we're going to tread lightly. But we invited Scott and Kim to come on and walk us through their stakeout and what they found. Scott and Kim, welcome to Undivided.
Thank you for having us.
You're both in the running to be my favorite people of the week. I can't decide between you and the middle school teacher from Eatonville who dragged his kids to the Capitol to talk about the Pledge of Allegiance. It's like neck and neck right now, but I love this story.
Very good.
So talk about why you started the stakeout. What had you started to notice?
So actually, Kim had been out with somebody else and placed some signs in this area. And then a few days later, me and her went back out just to kind of re-loop, and they were down. At some point, what I decided to do is, I'm kind of familiar with game cameras, like you'd put on a trail for hunting. And so I went out and bought some game cameras, tried to aim them in a way that I thought would work. It's been a struggle because game cameras will handle so many, but unfortunately, in order to get the signs, I get the road. So I'd get like 500 hits on it a day instead of, 10 on a game camera.
Yeah.
So
because of the cars driving by.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was difficult to go out there, bring the pictures back, look at them, see if I had any good ones, go back out, reload, and so it took a couple of weeks, but we did get some pictures of somebody that would appear to be a woman, appeared to be blonde, had a puffy coat, had silver on the pockets that the camera would pick up, and appeared to be a woman to me. One of them looked like a blonde woman that had stopped. You could see her stepping on the signs and that kind of thing. So I didn't know when I knew she was doing it at night. I didn't know at what time or something, but through the game cameras, we kind of began to isolate it down that, okay, this is happening in the morning, roughly around 6:30. We went out. Kim wasn't feeling good that day, or she probably would have ridden with me, but she just thought, oh, it's better if I don't sit in the same car with you. So we kind of worked out a plan where I would park and go and watch for this, hoping that somebody would come. And I kind of pre-planned, okay, if I see him coming, I'm going to call you. She was about a half a mile down the road. So I saw this car come slowing down, and I'm calling her, Kim, it looks like this is going to happen here. And so it did. They stopped. I called. I told her it looks like a pickup to me. and that there's low enough traffic there that there was no cars that came between me and her. So it wasn't like somebody could have got mixed up,
Yeah.
And so called her, the gal, well, I'm going to say it's a gal, jumped out of the truck, went around back, jerked the signs out, had a tonneau cover, heard the tonneau cover click, throw it in the back, heard it close. And, she was gone in 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Very, very quick.
So Kim, pick it up from there. You get the call, you got your stakeout, which I just think is fantastic. I'm laughing. This is very serious stuff, and we'll get to that later. But the way that you guys coordinated this, I just love. So you're staked out, you get the call, and what do you do from there? Pick up the story.
I saw the truck stop. I then started my car, turned on my lights, left Eglon Road, and followed the car down Hansville Road. There was one, maybe two cars. I think there was two cars between us. When we got to the intersection of 104 and Hansville Road, the other two cars went straight, and I was able to get behind her. I was on the phone with Scott. I gave him the plate number. Because it was a red light, I was able to take a picture. Then I zoomed in on the plate number, took the picture. She was in the center lane. Scott pulled up to the right, shined a flashlight in her truck. She then immediately got in the left lane, so I got in the left lane. We're waiting. The light turns green to go straight through. Even though she was in the left lane, she zooms on through. Well, I'm in the left lane, so I got to wait, and I got to turn left. Scott's in the right lane. He's got to turn right.
Yeah.
So then...
Just really quickly, was your goal in continuing to follow the truck to try to get a picture of the person driving it, or?
I just wanted to see where they went. I don't know why I wanted to keep going. I thought we had lost her. So I just happened to go down Front Street, which is the main drag in Paulsbo, and as I get near the Sons of Norway, sounds so crazy, but the door of Sons of Norway opens, and there's a woman there with very, very blonde hair who did a hair flip. And that hair flip is what caught my eye in the light, because her hair is so blonde. And I looked and I thought, oh, that's Lauren Evans. Oh my gosh, that's the Ford Ranger. So I immediately turned into the parking lot across the street and said, Scott, it's Lauren Evans.
Wow. And up to that point, you had not suspected that it could be the school superintendent who had been taking these signs.
No. Why would a school superintendent steal yard signs? No, I had no idea. So I knew she had a gray truck, but I told Scott several times, she drives a Chevy. Well, I was wrong.
Well, and I think also common sense would say, no way, no way. Like you said, that's just not, you would think it, but be like, no way, that's just too absurd. So after that, you do get law enforcement involved. So to what extent have you had contact with law enforcement, and what have they told you?
So when we got there, Kim had told me she was in Sons of Norway. I pulled in, think fairly quickly, called 911. Gave them the best description we could, believing it was her, but we'll let the police sort that out exactly. But it would have been a very good likeness of her if it was not. And so then basically from them, the Paulsville police showed up within 5 to 10 minutes, I'd say. We gave them the story. They said, okay, it happened outside of the city limits. We want to get the county deputies involved. So it took a while, but then the deputies came. Basically we tried to give them the story as accurately as we could that we've just given to you, that this is what we saw. This is how we located them. This is the pictures. And so just kind of moved forward like that, and waited quite a while. So it's going to be 8 o'clock or thereabout. The meeting gets over, the Rotary meeting gets over at 8:30, and everybody came out except her.
Huh. So she kind of was aware, you think, that, okay, I might have been caught doing this?
I mean, she stole a steak. I shined the light at her. I would think she might have suspected that Kim was following her, even though Kim went by. And then why would she be the only one that waits inside? And everybody else knew they could go out, but she didn't, because I I think she had to know.
Yeah. So like you said, this is in the hands of police. I know that they've contacted her at least. She's denied it through the school. In your opinion, based on the preponderance of evidence, do you believe that the school superintendent was stealing your signs?
I'm not going to say. I know what I saw. We'll let the law enforcement make the final decision.
I think the best source of that might be the sheriff's department now has out investigation. I don't know if you've received a copy of that. It's pretty conclusive in their opinion that it is in fact her. It was in fact her car. At the site, the deputies would not tell us if it was in fact registered to her. The deputies did a great job. Hopefully the prosecutor will look at the evidence and make a fair and just decision.
Yeah, and that's very responsible of you guys. I do want to end with this, though. If it does turn out to be her, and, what message, I guess, do you think that sends to the community if you have someone like a school superintendent who's in favor of this bond, who's trying to, going to those lengths to try to silence people who are opposed to it?
I received an email. Scott got a call from the sheriff's, I think it was a couple of days later, maybe Monday, and said, we'd like to go out to the scene with you and look it over, take some measurements. We want to make sure you were in the right of way. And Brandi, this makes me almost want to cry. I got an email from some woman who said, my son was on the school bus going down Little Boston, and he saw the sheriffs doing an investigation where your signs were stolen. A school bus full of her children, her students, witnessed this. And that makes me so very, very sad.
Yeah, it's not right. And it doesn't teach a good lesson to the kids. I mean, make your pitch. Since someone was stealing your signs, make a pitch to our viewers and our listeners about why they should vote no on this bond.
Oh, well, I just back up for a minute. And do we have the highest official in North Kitsap School District telling kids it's okay to cheat on tests if the end is, well, you can cheat at sports if you want? If that is in fact the case, it's terrible. And the school board really needs to show leadership, do the investigation themselves, and find out if it's true. And if it's true, they need to have her removed. But the issues on the bond, there's dozens of them. A lot of it has to do with arrogance and trust. We don't feel like they've been real open. There's one school that they've repeatedly said they were going to rebuild. It's kind of in a separate part of the district. And when in fact, what they're going to do is they're going to move it into Paulsbo, 3.7 miles away, and not rebuild. To me, that is misleading, and most people would find that. We have a 32-year-old school building that she says is, what term does she?
End of life.
End of life, educationally obsolete, or something like that. And it's like, it's a school with warm lights and, how can that? But they want to tear this building down and do a new one. It's like, how does that make any sense? And in fact, the night before I did this, I spoke at the school board and I said, this is about trust, us trusting you, about you believing you're making the right decisions. And then the next morning, this apparent thing happened. So,
I mean, yeah, you can't build trust when you're allegedly stealing yard signs. I can tell you that is one thing that does not build trust. Kim, do you want to, we'll end with you? You got something to add?
We do. We decided to make a website to get our information out. If you want more details on why we question this bond, www.nksdbond.com.
Perfect. We'll send people there. Scott and Kim, love the story. Thank you for caring so much and getting to the bottom of it. It's entertaining, but it's also serious. I mean, we can't have that kind of discourse in our state where you disagree with someone, so you rip their yard signs out or try to silence them. It's really, really quite absurd. But thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing that story with us.
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Love them. Love them so much. I cannot get enough of that video. Again, I'm laughing, but it is serious. And if she did this, she needs to be charged. If just the video of the game camera with her hawking this sign and stomping on it. So there is, by the way, right now, a change.org petition that's going around. It's called Place NKSD Superintendent on Administrative Leave During Investigation. And right now there are 541 signatures. Their goal is 1,000. I think it's pretty absurd not to put her on leave at this point. You know, I know there's innocent until proven guilty. That's for a court of law. She's innocent until proven guilty of the crime in a court of law. But we have this bond on the ballot for North Kitsap voters now. And the idea that a school superintendent would allegedly, according to the sheriff's office, that's their prime suspect, be out pulling out these no on a school bond signs obviously sends a terrible example to kids. There's no way that she should be able to do her job right now until this investigation is complete. There's just no way. That's insane to me. And we cover a lot of crazy stuff on this show around education and teachers and all that. But this really takes the cake to be so brazen about it. Allegedly, trying to make sure we don't get sued. But if you are a parent in that district, if you're a citizen whose tax money goes to fund that woman's salary, you should be demanding that she's put on leave while the investigation runs its course.